even today in this modern world, tribes are absolutely essential. We get caught up in the idea that tribes are something remote and distant and they dress funny. But tribes keep babies alive and they keep old people safe and they care for the sick and the weak. Hey everybody, it's Dr. Jack.
And Mary.
And this is the Forbidden Doctor Podcast 113, Tribal Shame and the Impact on Your Health.
Oh, I'm so excited for this one. Sit back and wait for this.
Well, today we're going to be talking about the conscious and subconscious energies that are laid upon us and that we take on ourselves in order to be part of a tribe. And this word tribe is appearing all over the radar in various articles, social media.
It's the new big thing.
Well, it is. And, trying to expose the damaging effects of self-surrender when we can't or we don't stand up to influences that we don't agree with, either in part or in total.
And this can be family or politics or economics or
religion, international events, even medical concepts.
Yep. Including the big one we did podcasts on, vaccinations.
Yes.
Yep.
The overuse of drugs and surgery.
Yeah, as well as other side of the medical picture.
Which are the complementary. The complementary approaches.
Yeah, to healing, such as the use of nutrition or exercise and stress reduction as alternatives to drugs for anything and drugs for everything.
Yes, so we guarantee this podcast will make some of us a little uneasy. It's going to be disturbing.
Yes, it is.
After all, that is the job of the Forbidden Doctor, to get you to think, to ponder, and to ask the questions that perhaps years of tribal influence have prevented you from doing whatever it is you are designed to do under the pressure of the tribe.
So we're going to make you think. And speaking of that, I tried to make a patient of our clinic that I was working with think. And this is what happens. I was explaining ageless thyroid to her, and I was frustrated saying that they took it off of Amazon because it has glandulars in it. And I was telling her how important it is that you have glandulars, because all the products on Amazon just have herbs and some iodine and some synthetic vitamins in them. They just punch the thyroid.
Right,
they
rather
don't
than
rebuild
it. Right.
Yes, and the glandulars bring in regulatory control. And so I was explaining all of this. And I says, well, you can either take this product or you can eat the foods that support your own thyroid gland. And so I said, she asked what food she should eat to support her thyroid. And I said, well, mostly, like I always say, eat what you crave, like meat, eggs, fish, dairy, and spices. And she freaked out on me. And she said, I would never touch eggs, ever. Look how gorgeous those look.
That's looking kind of yummy to me.
Because she said she doesn't eat pork either, ever. But here's the key. She said her whole family this whole family doesn't like eggs and meat. So I asked her what she craves, and she said, well, honestly, I only crave sugar and sweets.
Oh, boy.
So here.
Well, that's the average American for you.
Yeah, let me show you some of these things. So I just pulled up some of these things. I was like, how can you not crave this pork? How can you not crave that chicken?
One of these days, we will be able to make some money off these podcasts so we can hire a food crew. Like movies, have the catering group that show up on a movie set to make sure everybody's fed, the stars, the crew. Why don't we have that? When I see pictures like this, and her whole family doesn't like eggs and meat.
I got these again off that website. thehealthyfoodie.com. I want to give her credit. Some of these I got from there. And then I said, well, after I said, you've got to at least eat eggs. And then I showed her this picture of this luscious chocolate shake here.
Yeah, who would know there's 2 raw eggs in that?
No, nobody would know.
And you can't taste it.
No, and I told her, you can't taste it. It's a wonderful shake to make, and it will help you. Or you can just take our ageless thyroid, but I would prefer her to do this too. So then after all of this, and I explained how eggs were the perfect food, and she should make our shake and everything, she said she would rather die.
Oh.
She finally said, well, it's for ethical reasons. I don't eat eggs and pork. And man, how do you reason with that?
Well, you can't.
You can't argue with ethical reasons.
I respect their personal feelings, but you cannot reason with that.
You can't talk.
No.
You can't talk reason. So, yeah, leaving your tribe is tough.
It is.
Is very tough. Okay, so here's a little tribal wisdom right here.
Okay. I don't like tofu. Oh.
How to prepare tofu. Step 1,
Throw it in the trash.
throw it in the trash.
Grill some meat.
Step 2, grill some meat.
All
That's,
right, that's
so
good.
hilarious.
That is
okay.
good.
I'm going to tell you another little quick story here. It's a story of a patient that told me of her friend who has fibromyalgia to the point that she's almost completely disabled. I mean, she's got it really bad. I explained because her patient is because her friend is a patient of mine,
Yes.
that she needs to do her GAPS better. She needs to stay on GAPS better and stay off sugar, which I just happen to know she's addicted to. And then the person I was talking to told me this horrible story. She told me it's not her friend's fault because there was this Sundance award-winning film they saw that showed exactly what had happened to her. So apparently in this film, there's this lady that had severe fibromyalgia, and she went to the doctor who told her she was just lazy and needed exercise, because exercise is the cure for everything in the medical field.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So, and he kind of like yelled at her and said, "You're just lazy and go do this." So she walked 2 miles back to her home. She decided
That was supposed to be the exercise?
Well, she decided, I don't know. I didn't see the film, so I'm just paraphrasing here. But she walked all the way home. And if I remember, it was 2 miles. Might have been 5 miles. But anyway, when she got home, she collapsed.
Oh.
She collapsed after all that exertion because, she wasn't healthy enough to do that. And then my friend told me that the film shows her taking 5 years of rest before she got back to the physical strength.
Just after the 2-mile walk and exhaustion and collapse.
Took her 5 years to get back to where she was when she went to the doctor 5 years earlier, just to get back to even. Okay. So, and then she was really telling me that this is really true because she says in the back of the background, when she watched the movie, she could see standard process products. So she knew she was taking that.
Wow.
And then she says, and I bet she did GAPS, which I don't know why she bet that, but she said, I bet she was. She did everything. And I don't know if she took, steroids or drugs or anything like that. But it took her almost 5 years of bed rest to get back to where she was. So my point is, going back to podcast 101, and 101 is where we talked about the thoughts in your head can change the genes.
Yeah, the expression of the genes,
the expression
controlled
of the
by
genes.
your thoughts.
Yeah, your thoughts. So it was now in her head and her friend's head that had fibromyalgia, and everybody that watched that film, that it takes 5 years to get back to square one,
Oh, my
even
goodness.
with all the good diet and supplementation and rest. And I just don't believe the collective healing assumptions anymore. I'm glad that the woman on the film allegedly did GAPS, and I'm glad that she took standard process supplements instead of synthetic vitamins, and I'm glad she assumedly didn't do drugs or steroids or pain pills. But we need to change our whole assumption that we are sick, and we need to change it to the possibility of healing and need to live from a positive point of view, because apparently there is nothing that cannot happen today.
All right, I like that. All right,
Isn't
that's
that-
a good way to get started.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful?
Yes, I think that's a great way to get started here.
Anything can happen today. It doesn't need to take 5 years.
All right.
Okay, and then the other day I was in the hospital to visit a relative, and it's just so sad because the second you walk into the hospital, they shove antibiotics in you, steroids, pain pills. No healing is going on, but they are incredible crisis care doctors and save many, many lives.
Yes.
We just don't realize that there's another tribe out there of healers that we could be a member of, or we could sneak in on their little meetings.
Yes.
This particular person came in for a bad case of pleurisy, and as you know, it's very, very painful. So I didn't say anything about the crisis care treatment, nothing at all, which I thought was great. I agreed with it. Lots of, I don't know if I agreed with everything, but antibiotics, pain pills, steroids, blood thinners. But they were also showing AFib on the monitor above her head.
Yeah.
And because I care about this woman, I said, I can suggest some incredible food supplements for that AFib that can go to the foundational reason for the AFib, and turn it around really quickly. You'll see it on the monitor. You should have seen the look of almost horror
What?
on the face of her husband, who said, No. We are not doing anything but what the doctor says. So,
that conversation was over fast.
yeah. And the medical professionals were worried about a blood clot because of the AFib.
Yeah, an AFib can cause a blood clot. I
Right? It
understand
can.
that.
It certainly can. So
Rather than stopping the AFib, They gave him a blood thinner, right?
A blood thinner. She got low dose blood thinners shot into her tummy like
Oh, boy.
three times a day. And that was the only treatment for the aphid, just managing the symptoms, trying to avert a disaster. There was no true healing going on.
And so that was the end of the discussion.
Yeah. There was no other discussion allowed, period. So you've all seen our podcast on the heart, number 89. LBJ should have had this. You need to go, if you have any AFib problems or anything else, you need to go listen to podcast 89. It's where we talk about AFib and many other heart problems and how to deal with them together with the cardiologist, of course. But we foundationally support the reason for the heart problems. And here's an inside view of an operation,
let me see it.
A heart operation.
Let me see it.
You see that? See, they're doing surgery there, and they're pouring Cardio Plus right in there.
Had they been doing that in advance, the surgery would not have been necessary.
Yes, okay.
All right.
And possibly another life saved with our long life energy enzymes. Dr. Shockwell, thank you for the information about us. Blah, 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 because I didn't want to put personal information here. Our internet service is so slow that I can't listen to the podcast, but I read everything I can find and try to listen to you on the radio. I'm in the second month of GAPS protocol and seems to be improving. Here's the critical part. My sister is using long life energy enzymes and says they are a lifesaver. She has had pancreas problems for years with no hope of true healing.
Wow.
Isn't that super cool?
Yeah, that makes it worth it, doesn't it?
It makes it all worth it. So there's our little long life energy enzymes that you still can get on Amazon.
Yeah, not the thyroid, but you can get the enzymes.
Yep. Okay. I love this quote.
A person who has his health has 100 goals. A person who does not have his health has but one goal.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I put a link up there for an incredible place where you can get some good non-GMO organic food, and it's just in bulk sizes. So it's a really cool link. And we'll have those links at the end.
Good.
This webinar podcast is not intended to be a diversion away from the current system of disease management. It is our intention to offer a rational and very effective approach to aiding your body in its ability to rebuild and heal. Please be advised that any suggested nutritional advice or dietary advice is not intended as any primary treatment or therapy for any disease or particular bodily symptom. Nutritional counseling, supplements/vitamin recommendations, nutritional advice, and the adjunctive schedule of nutrition is provided solely to upgrade the quality of food in the patient's diet in order to supply good nutrition, supporting the physiological and biomechanical processes of the human body.
And was this a Sundance movie?
No.
Okay.
No, it's just something I found. You guys will all love this. Watch this.
Why does life sometimes feel so wrong? Running in circles and you don't belong. I always knew that this day would come. It's time to break free, meet me on the run. But what am I leaving, running from? And I look up to the open sky, hopes in my heart, dreams in my eyes. Will I ever make it right this time? And all I can do, and all I can do is try. and all I can do, and all I can do, and all I can do is try. All I can do is
Isn't that beautiful? Saving your life by leaving your tribe.
We didn't get the translation of the.
Here it is.
Oh, that's.
Eat like the one you want to be.
Excuse me. Eat. That's what the German meant. Eat like the one you want to be.
Yeah.
He wanted to be a bird, so he saw what the bird wasn't eating that green stuff.
It's just a movie.
Yeah.
I don't think he can really fly.
Well, it sure looked like he could
It
fly.
sure did, didn't it?
I'll tell you, we don't need to do anything more in the podcast. If you don't get the message.
Saving your life by leaving your tribe. I've got this link at the end in the links document that I'm putting out, so you can watch it again because the music is just so
it is
inspiring. So,
Mark Twain, whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect and start thinking. We're going to be talking about tribal shame here really quick.
Okay, so
And here are some quotes regarding it.
this is Elizabeth Gilbert, and she's the author of Eat, Pray, Love.
Right.
She's a wonderful writer. And we're going to discuss a bunch of excerpts from her Facebook post. And it's clear back in 2005, but, we're always late to the party. So we just found it. If you'd like to see the full-blown link, you can read it yourself. It's on the screen, and I'll have it in the handouts. But this was such a powerful article that it just made us, just like that movie, it just made us,
We got to talk about this.
this is forbidden stuff. Nobody dares say these things.
Yep,
it's
that's right.
heresy. It's heresy. So here's some really interesting.
These are the comments at the end
testimonials?
of her Facebook.
Facebook.
Yes.
Post. I'm at work in the bathroom sobbing because I finally said to my father, dead now for 30 years, what I never dared to say or even think. This is life-changing. Thank you.
Wow. And once you've been shamed by your original tribe, it's so easy to be continually shamed by others and compromise yourself to fit in and be accepted. That's the cycle, and I'm going to have to read this again. Powerful.
Yeah, because that's what we do once we give into
Yep.
this. And this is, somebody said, this is something I needed to read. I have been ill and unhappy most of my life. I understand now where this is coming from. Thank you so much for the information. I will try to change this now.
Yeah.
And she took her Facebook post from this guy, Dr. Mario Martinez.
His book, The Mind-Body Code.
Yeah, so we want to share with you some revolutionary new ideas about emotional health and well-being. And some of this stuff can be really life-changing. So we recently came across his work, and I read a bunch of his stuff too. He's a clinical psychologist and the author of the book called Mind-Body Code. And this will also be in our links handout.
Yeah. So as it says here, Dr. Mario E. Martinez is a clinical neuropsychologist. In 1998, he developed his theory of biocognitive science, which is based on research that demonstrates how thoughts and their biological expression co-emerge within a cultural history. In other words, the way you think relative to your tribal dictates. The academic science continues to divide mind and body, as well as ignore the influence cultural contexts have on the process of health, illness, and aging. For example, cultures that support growing older as a positive development associated with increased wisdom and abilities have higher numbers of centenarians, people who live over 100, living healthier lives, than cultures that view aging as a process of inevitable deterioration. So in other words, I was talking to a patient just the other day who is 68 and has decided to retire. I'm 66, and I said, for crying out loud, Mary and I just started another business. What are you talking about retiring?
We're going to save the world.
That's right. I have no intention of retiring. And he said, well, I said, well, what are you going to do? Well, I don't know. I'll find something. Well, I think he's going to go downhill, tell you the
Yeah.
truth.
Well, that's,
Because a lot of patients I
think-
take care of that retired as much as 20 years ago are busier now than ever because they got themselves busy.
Yeah.
And they're just as healthy as they were.
And I always think about, being old is a gift that not very many people get.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I stole that from somebody. But anyway, you can also listen to a fascinating interview that Dr. Martinez conducted on the Sounds True Network with Tammy Simon. And we'll have that link also at the end.
It's the Insights at the Edge podcast. We've listened to that. It's really good.
It's really good, yeah. And it's just a different take on a lot of different things. But Dr. Martinez has spent his whole life studying the ways that our thoughts and emotions affect our physical health. And he's particularly interested in the harmful ways that shame affects the mind and body.
Which is what we're going to be talking about in this podcast.
Yeah, and he's especially focused on the powerful and negative effects that tribal shaming can have on the human body and on our health and on our economic lives. So get ready.
So what is tribal shaming? Well, we're all born into a certain tribe, right? I mean, we think that our tribe, our people, are the only tribes because, well, it's all we know.
Yeah.
I mean, so take a look at some of these other tribes around the world
I'm going to click through these.
see the intensity and the identity of these people. And you think they're not serious?
Yeah, look at these guys.
Yeah. And so, we're born into a certain tribe. I mean, this tribe can be our family, it can be our religion, our neighborhood, our nationality, our culture, because tribes are important to human beings. I mean, in fact, they're essential. I mean, this is arguably nothing more vital to the ongoing existence of the human race than the cohesion and protection of a tribe.
Very important.
Yeah, our ancestors endured the fight for survival in the ancient world because they clung together and they would share their resources.
Look at these guys.
I mean, even today in this modern world, tribes are absolutely essential. We get caught up in the idea that tribes are something remote and distant and they dress funny. But tribes keep babies alive and they keep old people safe and they care for the sick and the weak. And tribes provide protection. Well, look at the beauty of that.
Yeah.
Look how beautiful those women are.
More strength in numbers,
And so the tribe gives you nourishment. It gives you warmth to vulnerable individuals, the young, the old, but we're all vulnerable at some point or another.
Yep.
And most importantly, tribes give us meaning. I mean, in other words, our tribe of origin tells us who we are. And each tribe it tells us what to believe.
Look at this. This is what this tribe says. If you don't drink warm blood and eat fresh meat, you are doomed to die on the tundra.
Well,
there's his little kids, that's their tribe.
That's it.
It keeps them safe. These words are sacred to them. These thought processes, these conclusions they've come to are sacred to them. I mean, I would think, personally, from my thoughts, if you don't drink warm blood and eat fresh meat, you are doomed to die on the tundra. Yeah.
Well, there is tremendous nutrition in blood and tremendous nutrition in fresh meat.
Well, there's a lot of evidence in that.
And what else do you have on the tundra? Orange groves?
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that, the efficacy of eating that way. We're going to talk about what would happen to you if you left that tribe.
Well, absolutely. Because each tribe is governed by its own rules. And, these rules constitute the, I guess you'd call it the honor code that defines every tribe's successes and its essence. And no matter what the tribe, I mean, these rules are sacred.
They're sacred.
They have to be sacred because without those rules, they'd fall apart.
Yeah.
I mean, without the collective, individual people are doomed, especially in some of these more remote areas. But remember here, tribal rules are literally sacred. And these rules are often composed of strict religious commandments and edicts that must be obeyed rigorously. I mean, sometimes on pain of death, as we've seen with mercy killings in the Middle East.
Yes, because can you see this lady? I mean, this is an intense tribe. Can you see her showing up one day in a pink T-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops?
No.
Yeah. So leaving this tribe would be tough.
Well, that's for sure. But even when tribal rules are more subtle than literal commandments, they are still sacred. And every family's a tribe, and therefore every family has its own moral and cultural code and its own guidelines that simply say this. This is how we do things around here.
In our tribe.
Right.
And here's our tribe.
Yeah, there's another tribe.
Yeah, we think we're the only ones on the planet.
We think that's the right way to dress. That's the right way to act. That's the right way to smile.
Oh, there's
that's
a
the
pink
right way to
t-shirt.
get together. But that is a tribe every bit as much as those other pictures.
Yes, it is. And they don't know that we exist.
Well, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So, the people who raised you programmed you with certain rules.
Now, we're not making any judgment about that.
No, none at all.
No, this
certain
is-
rules, certain habits, certain morals and standards. The rules of your tribe might have been lofty, such as in this family, we are all religious fundamentalists. Or the rules might have been lowly, such as in this family, we are all abusive alcoholics. Or the rules might have even been insanely contradictory, such as in this family, we're religious fundamentalists and we're abusive alcoholics. You've seen that.
Or in this family, we only follow medical advice and we only use medicine and none of that wacky alternative stuff.
Yeah.
Or to us, medicine is the devil's brew and we would never touch it and we only use alternative solutions for our health problems. I mean, whatever the situation.
Oh, I have families like that. And even, isn't it the Jehovah Witnesses that won't let them do blood transfusions? Because,
Yeah,
I don't
and
know
the
why.
First Church of Christ Scientist.
Yeah, they'll let their
faith
people
healing.
die.
Yeah, well, and sometimes they don't. And they
Yeah.
blame it on the faith,
But
one way or
whatever,
the other.
whatever the situation, though, the rules were definitely the rules, and they were made quite clear to you from the beginning.
That's right. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But it's when you could first walk and talk, the rules were laid out. I see this when families come in with little kids in the clinic, and I watch these rules being established, and it's different from one family to the next. And these are people who may be living in the same town, in the same faith, similar employment, but the rules they're laying down in what they're teaching their kids when they can barely walk and just starting to talk it's amazing how these tribal rules are being laid down so early. So
They're sacred.
in order to remain safe and accepted within the boundaries of the tribe, they have to follow those rules.
So maybe as you grew up, these rules continued to make sense to you. If so, then you got lucky because then your life's course is clear. All you need to do is obey your familiar tribal rules and pass those rules down to your offspring, and everything will be safe and clean and simple. Or maybe not. We said that together.
Yes.
I mean, I would love this. I think it's beautiful. This beautiful family. There's nothing wrong with following rules. Not speeding, not drinking and driving. There's nothing wrong with that. And if that works for you, that's wonderful. But we're going to talk about the other
Well,
side.
Maybe as you grew older, you found that your own values and morals and standards and aspirations were completely different than those you'd been taught to you by your tribe of origin.
Yeah. Well, maybe you realize you didn't want to be a religious fundamentalist. Maybe you didn't want to be an abusive alcoholic.
Yeah, maybe in your tribe, nobody got a formal education. Maybe you wanted to go get a PhD.
Yeah, maybe everyone is expected to get a higher education, but you never liked school and couldn't finish.
Or in your tribe, girls are supposed to become mothers at a young age and never work outside the home, but you wanted a childless career woman's position.
And maybe in your tribe, everyone is expected to be a farmer, but you want to be an artist. Or maybe in your tribe, everyone's expected to be an artist, but you want to go into business.
Or maybe in your tribe, you were taught to be suspicious and hateful of strangers, but you wanted to love the world with a more open heart.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And maybe it's considered deeply wrong to be gay, but you happen to be gay.
Or maybe in your tribe, the idea of anything but drugs and surgery when dealing with a health issue is crazy and reckless.
Yeah, or going to college and getting a degree. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But you were taught to never see a healthcare professional that didn't have an MD after their name, let alone a nutritionist, acupuncturist, or heaven help us, a massage therapist. That was crazy. It was crazy to go to massage therapists. It's crazy to go to a nutritionist.
Yes.
Are you kidding? We have
these pills. What are you worried about what you're eating for? We have these pills that take that pain away.
Isn't that great? What's his name? Farrell? Will Ferrell. Yeah. That's a great slide.
That's a good way of
the
curing
little snake
things.
healing.
Well, there's some belief there, I'll tell you. Or maybe in your tribe, you were taught to expect nothing but poverty and oppression and deprivation out of your life. But you saw the world differently, and you wanted to expand your mind into a field of joyful abundance and prosperity.
Yeah, in other words, maybe the rules of your tribe didn't work for you anymore. Maybe you decided to break your tribal rules and choose your own path.
Yeah, maybe you went out and found a new tribe.
Yeah.
Composed, made up of people who felt more like family to you than
your own family
did.
Yeah. And maybe your tribe of origin was totally okay with that.
Oh, yes. Maybe your tribe just celebrated your differences and just cheered you on and said, all we want is for you to be happy. Well, if so, God bless them, because that is rare.
Yeah, chances are they probably were not totally okay with that.
Yeah, because it's exceedingly rare for a tribe of origin to celebrate the departure of one of its members. They really don't like it when you break the rules, because remember, those tribal rules are sacred. And even when the rules are totally dysfunctional and dark and insane, those rules are still sacred.
Yes, they are. And keeping to those rules, it brings you cohesion.
Yes.
Yeah, it determines survival. So nothing less than life itself is at stake here.
Yeah, or at least that's how the tribe sees it.
Yeah. I like this quote here from Caroline Meis. And you know who she is,
Meis.
Right? Meis?
Yes, pronounced. She's a medical intuitive.
Ah.
You can talk to her
that's
for
way
about
out
10,
of most
15.
people's tribes.
That's right. That's not tribal. You can talk to her for a few minutes, and then she'll tell you, oh, your gallbladder's not working.
Oh, wow.
And then you go in and you get it checked out, and it's not working. She has an incredible reputation, but that's not the standard or the standard quo type of tribe.
No, and you went to a medical intuitive that said your pancreas.
Yes.
That was in fact, he said that your pancreas could have taken you out. That's what that medical intuitive said. And he didn't know that we had just made our long life energy enzymes.
That I had been on enzymes for a
He
while.
said you were on the edge of that. That was fascinating. So she said we are reluctant to live outside tribal rules because we're afraid of getting kicked out of the tribe, of course.
So if you dare to leave your tribe of origin, or if you dare to question the rules of your tribe, it's extremely likely that you will be punished.
Yeah. And sometimes that punishment can be violent and extreme. Like
excommunication, being shunned, being disowned, even physical abuse, maybe even murder, such as those terrible cases of honor killings of young girls by their own family members in the Middle East.
But I knew a person that got disowned for changing religions. So I think that happens more often.
Well, that's the idea is that, that we're trying to talk about here is the subtlety of some of the punishment.
Yeah, often it's not, killing you. It's the subtlety.
Yeah.
If you dare leave the tribe, or if you dare challenge the tribe, the weapon they are most likely to use against you is shame.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to talk about now. I mean, shame is the most powerful and degrading tool that a tribe has at its disposal. I mean, it's the nuclear option.
Yeah, it's the number one thing that just blows everything to pieces.
It's how they keep you in line.
Yeah.
It's how they let you know that you have abandoned the collective.
Yeah. Violence may be fast and brutal, but shame is slow, but still brutal.
Yes. But shame it's like a computer chip that the tribe implants into you in order to control you and make you suffer. It's like that little alarm that you put around the yard, the electrical thing with a collar on the dog, and the closer it gets to the edge of the tribe, the little thing buzzes and brings the dog back. That's kind of like what shame does, because even when you're geographically on the other side of the country, away from the tribe, they can still flip that switch and make you feel the agony of guilt over having betrayed them.
And now with the cell phones and the texting, they can check up on you all the time.
Sure.
Are you staying to our tribal Are you not doing this? Are you doing this?
Let me
Because
give you an
everybody
example.
does this in our family.
Here's an example. They'll shame you by saying they'll call you all the way across the country with your big city job. Now that you're a big city, a fancy city girl, you think you're better than us, don't you?
Or how about now that you've got a college education, you think you're better than us?
Now that you don't drink anymore, you think you're better than us.
Ooh, and now that, here's a big one too. Now that you've lost all that weight, you think you're better than us.
Now that you're happily married, you think you're better than us.
And now that you have a good job, you think you're better than
Yeah,
us.
now that you can speak Francais,
French,
you
yeah.
think you're better than us.
And you live in California, you think you're better than us.
No, it just goes on and on. They're going to accuse you of being a traitor. They're going to use words like abandonment and betrayal and disloyalty. And they'll kind of joke about it, but they aren't joking.
Yeah, they will remind you that you weren't there when Dad died, that you weren't there when your nephew was born, that you can never be counted on for anything. And they will mock you and then brush it off saying, hey, don't get so upset. We're just joking. It's all in fun.
But it isn't all fun.
No, it isn't fun. It's dead serious. And it's potentially deadly because shame makes people sick.
Okay. Shame can literally take years off your life. At best, it just makes you terribly, lingeringly sad.
Yeah.
I mean, your tribe of origin is letting you know in uncertain terms, you are no longer one of us. Okay. That's cute.
So those words, spoken or unspoken, because they can, with a look, man. They can,
just with a look. They just cut you off at the knees
that's
just
right.
with a look.
It's the ultimate tool of tribal shame because nothing is more painful to a human being than the accusation that you're being a traitor. It's terrible to be told you are no longer one of us.
We're pack animals. We really are. I mean, we need the approval of our pack, and it's terrible to be accused of abandonment or betrayal.
Yeah. So in short, if you dare leave the tribe will shame the living hell out of you. And that shame will hurt you.
Well, it is. It's an energy. It's a very fierce and burning energy.
Yeah.
And the power of tribal shame is not to be underestimated.
Because tribal shame is capable of ruining lives and killing people. Shame corrodes the soul. And I think it corrodes the mind and of course, then the physical body. Tribal shame can make you sick.
I mean, it can send you into a spiral of psychic misery and physical infection. We've talked about this in podcast 101.
Remember 101? This is one of our most listened to podcasts, along with The Heart. I think The Heart's still ahead. But this podcast talked about how our genes are changed by the thoughts in our head.
Yeah, but a chemical cascade is actually created by our thoughts. Mm-hmm. Neuropeptides are created in the brain to get into the blood, and it affects the condition of the blood that affects the condition of the
genes,
cells themselves, and the genes.
And Anita Morjani told the story, and there's the link right there, of how her genes were changed instantaneously and got rid of cancer. So somewhere we acquired the belief that genes are self-actualizing, that genes made decisions. All of a sudden, the genes would say, oh, it's time for cancer. And then you would end up with cancer.
That sounds kind of funny, but this is a major tribal belief.
Yes, it is.
I mean, doctors that actually read the research and follow the research-proven concept that genes do not spontaneously go nuts, but in fact will respond more so to outside influences, they're going to be ostracized and persecuted by the members of their own medical tribe.
So here's a tribe that Dr. Bruce Lipton is thoughts of a tribe trying to get out there, that the brain affects the chemistry of the blood. And then the pictures in the brain is translated into blood chemistry in the cells, and the blood chemistry created by the brain, which is from the pictures that you're thinking, goes straight to the genes.
Yeah, this is what the research is showing. The chemistry of the blood controls the cells. And the adjustment of that blood, as you just pointed out, there's the brain itself. I mean, you don't have to be tribal when you're looking at the truth. Sometimes it's the truth that separates you from the tribe.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're not saying that all tribal beliefs are wrong by any means, but sometimes they might be wrong for you.
Dr. Mario Martinez has been able to show how tribal shame rots people from within, keeping them in a constant state of inflammation, anxiety, unease, and disease.
Oh, but it gets worse.
Yeah.
It gets worse. Tribal shaming sometimes causes people to literally sabotage their own life. They give up their callings. They jettison their own true path that gave them happiness and fulfillment, and then they forbid others to be happy. I mean, it's often the case, that people simply cannot endure tribal shaming any longer, so they fail on purpose in order to be welcomed back into the tribe, in order to balance things out, in order to become one of us once more. They cause themselves to fail.
They forbid themselves to be happy.
Yes.
This is just incredible.
So,
Oh, I went the wrong way. Sorry.
Well, that was tribal.
Yeah. So here's the really crazy thing about a tribe. As Dr. Martinez points out, they will always take you back if you fail.
That's right. All you have to do, if you have been shamed away from the tribe and you miss the tribe, fail. They will immediately take you back.
Yeah. They'll always welcome you back home if you're suffering. They won't love you so much as when you were happy and successful, because that's very threatening to them as it challenges everything they believe.
But if you do well in life on your own terms, at first your tribe might say, the returning hero, oh, he got his degree, oh, he got the big job, he got the big promotion. But when they see how different you are from them now, they're not going to like that success. And they'll start, even on an unconscious level, they will start shaming you for it.
But they'll always take you back when you fail. So they'll take you back when you're sick, when you're weak, when you're humbled and broken.
They'll welcome you back with open arms, sweet, loving care, and you will once again be able to feel the warm safety and companionship of that tribe.
So here's what people often do. They sabotage themselves in order to come home again. We literally make ourselves sick, weak, humble, and broken in order to be welcomed home.
And that's how much we long for the approval of the tribe. We will even ruin our own lives in order to achieve it.
But at what cost?
Yeah, exactly. Good question. Because remember,
Sorry.
This is Lucy. She's getting very jealous of our time here. Anyway, remember, by the way, it's not only your tribe of origin who is capable of working this dark magic of shame upon you. Look at all those fingers.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be any tribe that you've joined, and then you dare to leave or to challenge it.
Just when they thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what movie that's from?
Well, yeah. It's from Godfather
Okay.
3. The Godfather Part 3.
Yeah, I tried to get out of that tribe. That's a scary tribe.
To get out of the mob?
I've heard you can't get out of the mob.
Well, there's a lot of things you can't get out of. So, and what are those things? Well, we're talking about friends, and we're talking about neighbors and coworkers and team members and gang members and political cronies and church members and fellow drug addicts and fellow yogis. And book club members. And I mean, any
Tree
tribe.
huggers.
Yes, and any tribe can turn against an individual who dares to step out of line or who dares to question the rules or who dares to ascend beyond what's expected or allowed. I mean, the stakes are always the same. It's our way or the highway.
Yeah.
Conform or you're going to be eternally punished.
Yeah, just try to switch from a Democrat to a Republican.
Yes.
Or even worse, switch from a Republican to a Democrat.
No.
And watch your family splinter and freak out.
So we want you to ask yourself this question in all honesty. Have you ever sabotaged yourself in order to be welcomed back into the tribe or stay in the tribe? Because I have.
I've done it.
I mean, I can promise you that. I have done it many times. I don't have the time or the personal courage to go into it in this podcast, but I guarantee you I have surrendered to differing tribes to get approval.
And here's some of these we're going to list out. Did you drop out of school so you wouldn't be the only one in your tribe with a higher education?
Yeah. Did you commit a crime so the tribe would embrace you?
Ooh. Did you marry someone you didn't love so the tribe would accept you as being normal? That's huge.
Did you start drinking again? Or overeating again, or smoking again, so the tribe would re-embrace you?
Did you subconsciously conspire to lose all your money so you wouldn't appear to be better than anyone in your tribe?
Did you get fired again, so you wouldn't appear to be better than your tribe?
Did you plummet back into depression, anxiety, and victimhood so that you would never be happier than anyone in your tribe? I mean, families that are all victims. This
Yes.
is not my fault. I got this cancer. It's not my fault. And on and on and on. Or, he left me and I'm a victim. And it just never ends.
Yes.
So did you fall back into that?
How about this one? Did you hide your true sexuality so your tribe wouldn't judge and exclude you?
That's a big one. Did you pretend to believe in a version of God that you don't believe in so the tribe would not shame you or banish you?
Or did you reject and would not even entertain alternative medical treatment because you came from a family of medical doctors?
These are some very heavy did you evers.
Oh, yes.
Or did you bravely choose exactly the life you really wanted for yourself, but now you cannot seem to rest easy in it?
Yeah, you built the life you wanted for yourself. And now that everything looks good on the outside, you're still making yourself miserable somehow.
Are you walking around feeling eternally guilty and exhausting yourself working so hard for the benefit of everyone else just to keep yourself punished and shamed? Because somehow your tribe of origin has convinced you that you do not deserve the abundance and happiness that you fought so hard to earn. And by the way, I love this picture of Brave. This is just amazing. And just as a side note, redheads, for some reason, were always shamed in my family.
Really?
Like it was their fault. I mean, it's just like, it was the weirdest thing. I thought of that when I was doing this podcast, putting this together, that our family just didn't like redheads.
That reminds me of the book, The Fountainhead,
Yeah.
by Ayn Rand. And Howard Rourke, after whom we named our son, is the hero of that book. He had fire orange hair, as the book describes him having.
It's
that's what I think of when I see this.
Anything to...
He was outside the tribe.
I know,
Anybody familiar with that
totally.
story knows the tribal influence to ruin him.
It's a hero book.
Yeah, it's a real hero book. And he created a tribe of two by the end of the story.
Well, we don't like anybody doing anything weird. Don't have a funny nose.
Oh, yeah.
Don't have a weird shape.
Don't dress
Don't
funny.
have red hair. I mean, it's just like, it's strange. Okay?
Well, enough of that. Enough of that. Enough of the tribal shaming. So what are we going to do about it? What do we do about the tribal shaming? I love this picture.
It's so beautiful.
I mean, what are you going to do to combat the power of tribal shame? To absolutely feel free to pursue your own path in life. And most of all, to feel free to be a success at what you're doing.
And by success here, we don't mean only a financial success at all, but an emotional
Yes.
success. I think that's even more important. A person who is happy and at peace and living as he or she feels they were meant to live and not necessarily how they were taught to live.
Yeah, and so stay tuned to part 2 because here comes the revolutionary part.
And we're so sorry we have to end here, but
This is entirely too long. We got to split this into 2 parts.
what you do to get out of this is coming in part 2, and it is
It's
stunning.
fantastic.
It made chills go all through my body.
Yes.
So next week we're going to finish this and teach you how to get out of this tribal shaming. So we're excited to end here, and next week you'll be able to feel such passion and excitement to go forward with
Yes.
this. But
So,
before we do,
A quick letter.
just want to end with this really quick. This personifies leaving the medical myopic view of a tribe that we all struggle with. And sometimes we have to leave this. By the way, I've changed the names here, but I want you to know I just love your podcast and I'm addicted to it. You guys really speak to me. See, Jack, we're making a difference
Yeah,
here.
there's one person out there.
I spent my entire pregnancy researching vaccines and planning a natural childbirth with a doula, but ended up with
Pitocin,
narcotics.
epidurals, IV antibiotics, and ultimately a C-section after 24 hours of labor and 4 hours of pushing.
That girl, man, I was in labor 18 hours. Let's not do labor stories. Okay, so she said, I fought hard for my baby to not have antibiotics, but felt shamed. She wrote this to me. I didn't put this in.
Yeah, no, this is before the podcast came
Yes.
out, obviously before we talked about any of this, and so we had to include this letter.
I had this on file here, but I felt shamed for declining and then was heartbroken when they whisked her away for 3 days in the ICU after developing a fever, only for the culture to come back negative.
Yes.
I have breastfed all of her 10 months, and she has had no vaccines and has been on probiotics, and she's finally seen a chiropractor regularly.
Anyway, they have the methylation gene, the methylation problem gene, and know where Sarah was headed if I hadn't taken charge of her health, despite my entire family being pro-vaccine, and me being a single mom who has had a rough recovery and been in survival mode most of it, likely due to lowered thyroid production. I feel like I'm rambling on here, but I can really relate to the stories you've shared. Also, Marissa at your clinic was a delight to speak with, just an angel. Yeah, you don't know her.
Yeah.
And you are lucky to have her on our staff.
Yeah, we had to put that in because it's so great.
Yes,
we love Marissa.
We are definitely lucky to have Marissa.
And she wishes she lived closer to our clinic, and that's just a really nice thing. But it personifies being shamed into getting her child vaccinations and getting her antibiotics.
The tribal expectation upon her that she resisted answered with shame upon her. And that's the thing we're talking about.
Yeah. So find your tribe, love them hard.
Oh, I like that.
And here's the disclaimer.
All right. Here's the disclaimer.
And if you like what we're doing in these podcasts, there's several ways to support us. You can leave a positive review on iTunes. That would be great. Ask us questions and give feedback at the end of this podcast. And you can join our family by filling out the symptom survey.
Yes.
So again, please leave us comments or questions at the end. And you can always call, text, or email us with questions.
All right. We'll see you in part 2 shortly.
Yep. 1 week.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Forbidden Doctor podcast. If you are curious about long life energy enzymes or ageless thyroid, you can purchase them without a membership from our website at forbiddendoctor.com, or get our enzyme formula from Amazon.com by searching the full term Long Life Energy Enzymes. Don't forget to take our obligation-free symptom survey to get a free personalized supplement protocol recommended for you by Dr. Jack, Mary, or one of our qualified nutritionists. Take the survey, get a call from our nutritionist to create a protocol and a patient login, then use that login to see your own personal protocol along with any favorites you've saved from our symptom library. Remember, our website and our clinic are here for you always.